Chapter 1. Innocence. Charley Bates. When I was working for the best-known pickpocketing gang in London, I never thought I'd become a grazier in Northamptonshire, mainly because I had no idea what the word grazier meant, or where Northamptonshire even was. Me, a lad from Wapping in the East End, breathing in the fresh air, fattening sheep for market, and making a good, honest living. Who would have believed it? Certainly not my dad. And definitely not Fagin, politely known as a receiver of stolen goods. Although now, 10 years later, I know he was nothing more than a thieving slaver. But you couldn't help being drawn in by him, just like you couldn't help liking Jack Dawkins. Most knew him as the Artful Dodger, and I remember the day when we first met by the boats at the bottom of Alderman Stairs in St. Catherine's, where I'd been helping my dad on the wherry for some pennies. I probably fell in love with him on the spot, with his strange eyes, snub nose, and grown-up, messed-up clothes that were too big for him. Then there was the battered old hat. "Get a move on," my dad shouted at me as I jumped off our wherry, tied the rope, and helped the passengers off. I was relieved it was the last crossing of the morning for me. Now I could do whatever I wanted. Just then, Peter Goods Nooner from Butler's Wharf tied up next to us, and this small lad about my age jumped off, took a look at me and said, "Who's a pretty boy then?" Well, I blushed all over and started out, "None of your business." He winked, straightened his silly hat, and bounced up the stairs. "Aren't you coming too?" he called back. And I was hooked, like one of the few salmon left swimming in the Thames. I knew he was going to be my best covey, all within a minute. We walked a bit towards the Tower of London and laughed and talked about things like his friend Nancy and what she did. I told him about the Southwark whorehouses where most of our passengers went to visit. He said he'd been running an errand for his governor. No idea what I was carrying, as always, beyond my apprehension. Nice vocable crib by St. Saviour's Dock, though. Don't like him much, but he pays well for an ugly chaser. We both thought we were about 10 years old. He seemed older than me, though. He definitely used fancier words. Sometimes I had no idea what he was saying. Then out of the blue he said, "Fancy a trip up west?" And that was the start of a new life for me. Not a great start, I admit, because walking through the smelly brown mud that was the streets and breathing in the yellowish choking fog which smelt of bad eggs and stung the eyes was not my idea of a top afternoon. But there's no doubt London has some great sights to see, despite the smoke thrown up into the air by the dirty chimneys. The bloody Tower, Traitor's Gate, the great fire monument, and the newly opened London Bridge right in front of it, and then St. Paul's Cathedral. Seeing it all made me proud to be an Englishman, just like Grandad Jimmy was always telling me to be. The next hour or so seemed like 10 minutes on the walk with Jack. We only stopped to get a couple of penny muttons from one of the pie men in West Street, and just after that we got to the narrowest of alleyways, just off Holborn Hill, a bit too close to the old Black Dog Newgate for my liking. At the time, I never knew that a house on this dirty alley would become a second home for me. It was the stink that hit me first. Yes, I know old London town stinks because I live by the side of the Thames and cross it daily with its dead rats, dogs and cats floating on by. But I'm not kidding you when I say sheep with worms on the farm I've worked on for years now smell better than that midden with walls did. These days I laugh because the filthy door Jack took me to, the boy who became a grazier, was in a place called Field Lane. We went inside along a maze of passageways, and after a few minutes he said, "I've brought you to meet a gentleman. He's called Fagin, and I think he's going to like you. So, what's your real name, my pretty wherry boy?" I smiled and said, "What I told you's true. Everyone calls me Charley the Boat. I can't say the place my own family called home was a palace, but this dirty, dismal, dreary hole was something else. Hardly any light could get in from the outside, and for the first time I thought to myself, Why did I do this? I knew, of course, but I'd have to leave soon because my father would whip me bad if I didn't turn up at the stairs in time for the evening rush on the Rose. I turned round to go, and bang in front of me was a very old, very ugly man, with a bit of red hair stuck on top. His beard was filthy, and I know all breath smells, but this was pure animal. He lifted his leg and let one fly. "So then, Charley the Boat, that won't do at all, my dear. You'll be Charley Bates in the gang.